I met Llew and Mara probably about 28 years ago now. 2 years ago I asked Llew and Mara to write the Steets of Forbes for the launching of our Swedish CD. I thought Mara and Llew would be a great pair to collaborate with, as they both had an interest in early music back in the 80s, so they were part of that very first movement in Australia in early music.
The Steets of Forbes is an Australian folk song that I've been singing for many years, and for a long time I steered clear of Australian folk songs because I found that a lot of the early songs were written in the voice of a man, but Steets of Forbes was a story that I really felt I could empathise with. So the reason we chose Steets of Forbes for this particular project was that the previous Marais album, or an earlier Marais album, had a song called Llew and Mara Kiek. The melody of that song was very reminiscent of the melody of Steets of Forbes, and as soon as I heard it I said to Llew, that sounds like the Steets of Forbes, and you know, the antennae went up. We've always been very interested in the similarity between tunes in folk music in different countries. We've tried to focus on that in several of our arrangements, and so I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting, as you've done this tune with a very similar melody, for this album to do an arrangement of the Steets of Forbes. The piece actually opens with another tune which started out as an English country dance, the Cheshire Rounds, but it's treated in a different way. It's treated as a Bulgarian dance rhythm known as the Kopanica, which has an 11/8 time signature. Jenny was very interested in having something a little bit more exotic, using one of the broken rhythms of folk dances that Llew and I commonly play. So I thought, well, how can we put together something that is in some way connected to the Steets of Forbes? Well, it's not a direct connection, but the dance, Cheshire Rounds, would have been done in New South Wales in the early days, in the 1800s. It was a very common dance around the time, particularly for weddings. So in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, when Ben Hall was alive, that dance would have been commonly done, so it's possible that he would have known it. We don't do it in the original style, however. We've applied the Kopanica rhythm to that and just shifted the melody around to fit in to that time signature. And the reason we chose the Kopanica of all the other possible broken rhythm dances is that the melodic phrases within the Cheshire Rounds most readily adapted to the 11/8 time signature, and that's how we ended up with that piece. Another interesting aspect of this is that Koen, the singer, comes from Holland and is performing an Australian folk song. He's now living in Australia, so there's a wonderful multicultural thread through the piece as well, from Bulgaria through the British Isles, Australia, Holland, Sweden, everywhere.
With the Steets of Forbes, I wanted to create a piece that would challenge Tommy and his playing in the way that Paul challenged Jenny and Ray in the harpsichord and gamper in Paul's spinning fourth piece. So I thought, well, Tommy needs something to get his teeth into as well, so I'm not going to write something easy, and Tommy's really risen to the challenge. It even has a couple of riffs from Jimmy Page, Stairway to Heaven, a little bit of a nod to my rock and roll background. I love AC/DC, I've been to see Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Australian Chamber Orchestra, so my sphere of appreciation and love of music is really wide, so I love to try and incorporate different styles in writing and arranging.